All right, we're calling. I'm so nervous. I feel like I'm gonna botch their name. I think it's Josh, but like with no ace on the end. So I'm gonna end up botching this. But I'm excited to chat with them. They're one of the artists that's working with Meraki for their new generative art platform, and we're gonna hear a little bit about their story, about how they came to be, and what exactly they're kind of doing in the space overall. But good morning, good morning. I just want to check: is it Josh, or what's the best way of saying your name?
It's Jos.
Jos, okay, I got you. Yeah, I can hear you. How's your day going so far?
Great, sorry.
How's your day going so far?
Good. Yes, how are you?
Good. All right, so let's kind of jump into things here a little bit. And for I guess let's start with kind of the background of how you started within the generative art space, how you found NFTs, and then I guess kind of how you got involved with Meraki.
Yeah, so I worked as a developer and I studied mathematics before. So yeah, when studying mathematics and programming, I of course, yeah, you get introduced with drawing things like fractals and that kind of shapes. So that's, I guess, where it started to yeah, to get fascinated by all kinds of shapes you can create. And so at some point I tried to yeah, to spend quite a lot of time to make things after work and on weekends. And yeah, I got really like fascinated by it. So I actually took a sabbatical so I quit my job and I really yeah, spent a lot of time just making art and exploring. Yeah. Sorry?
No, I was just saying that. So you dove kind of like into the space full time, and that's why you ended up leaving your regular job.
Yeah, but so I left it like 3 years ago. But really to take a break, you know, not I was not making money actually from art. I just wanted to try to get a period of just yeah, creating and exploring. And then this year I discovered NFTs. I thought I was late. I heard a few things about it before, like last year, I think, yeah, just over a year ago. And I looked at a few platforms, but they had like, you could not get on there. You needed to be invited, or I don't know. So I didn't bother, but then at some point I saw the art blocks things booming. So it was after Tyler Hobbs' Fidenza, and so from that point I was like, okay, now I really want to yeah, to keep an eye on this and yeah, and also get my art on some of these platforms. So since that was June, I think. So since June I'm sort of yeah, obsessed by generative art in the web browser, actually, because that's the
big thing. And, I mean, I think it's funny though that like for you, right? Like as a generative artist, you've seen what art blocks did, and with like the Fidenzas and everything else kind of around that, how that turned into, you know, you were really wanting to dive into the space and seeing what it's all about. So when you first saw art blocks, what was kind of like on your mind regarding it? Like, were you impressed by what was happening? Were you like, I don't really care, but you did a bit later? Like what was kind of going through your mind as an artist yourself?
Yeah, so I really learned about art blocks after Fidenza, and Tyler wrote a really nice write-up about the artwork. So I totally got that. Like, you know, this is really nice. This is really well thought through. Like, this algorithm to create, I think, 1,000 variations. So at that time, I was really excited, and I looked at all the previous projects. So yeah, there were quite a few projects before Fidenza. So I was really excited about art blocks. I thought it was amazing. But then also soon after that, I learned that there's a waiting list, basically. Like, you can apply as an artist, but you had to wait quite a few months. So I got also the moment where I went from very excited to damn, I'm gonna miss out, and I see so many people making it really, and like great projects launching. But it was very interesting.
And so,
because if you're new to it, you really have to apply as an artist and then wait 4 months or something. So in that time, a lot happened. I was looking every day at what's happening. I also bought a few NFTs, of course, and and looked at other projects.
So for the situation kind of with art blocks, just to go around that, because I'm always interested, because for a lot of us, we never went through the process of trying to like apply or get on really anything here. How was it? Was it something that you eventually got accepted? Is that still something that you haven't? Obviously, we know that you're with the Meraki platform right now, and I think that's awesome. But just kind of curious how, back in the day when it was starting to take off, really how long that process was. And you said that you started buying some other NFTs. Did you end up trying to sell any art or anything at that time?
Yeah, so at first I minted 1 or 2 pieces on art blocks. But I was also, so that was really new for me. I was also, and after a while there was so much other choice. I also thought like, maybe I want to sell this one and buy another one, which I did as well. And I had to wait for the applications to open. So first they were going to their previous applications of artists. So it was unsure when you could apply. But then I could apply, I think, at the end of August or something like that. Then I had to wait a few months, and then I got accepted, and I launched a factory project there. It's called Attraction. I think it launched in December, which is just 2 months ago. But so that was great. And then in this waiting time, I talked with Meraki already. And I also talked with Gen.art. So I also launched the project on Gen.art in November, I think. And now it's the time for Meraki. Yeah, so this is part of Attraction, what you see now. So this is launched on art blocks. And this is a detail, it's like zoomed in of like larger artwork.
So is the NFT of this one that like actually moves like this, or is just like a time lapse?
So that one I recorded the time lapse, but in your browser it will appear like that. It will not loop, like it will not disappear. It will only, like from an empty canvas, it will be filled with pixels until it's finished, basically. So you might want to. I can send you a link to that artwork, I think, if you want to.
For sure. Not a rush, but no, that's cool. I don't know. I feel like, so typically, just so you know, like within our channel and what we normally cover here on Twitch is, a lot of the, we'll call it like hyped up NFT drops, or kind of like the, animal type PFPs and or like play to earn games and whatnot. And obviously, like with Meraki and focusing a little bit on these generative art pieces, pretty much like once a month. It's cool because it feels different, right? Like when we have the hype, when we have the cycles of everything, it's, it's a completely different kind of vibe overall when we get to talk with artists like yourself, where it's kind of, calm, peaceful. We talk about the processes, the journey that's happened, and how things are so different for somebody like you, kind of getting into the space and seeing everything for it. Like, I think it's really, really neat. So, I mean, for you, now that you do have kind of, an established name and you're working on growing it all the time, do you have any kind of like aspirations or things that you're wanting to kind of like achieve within your artistic realm?
So that's a good question. So Art Blocks Curated was like the first goal, I guess, I set when I learned about this. And I was not accepted with this project. But it went to factory, and it was a success. That's me. Yeah. So I'm sorry about the light.
No, you're good. You're good. It looks great. No worries.
So for aspirations, I just want to continue my journey, because I was just creating stuff and exploring around. Some like mathematical concepts, like visualizing and using mathematics to make images. And now this really feels like an intermezzo, like the NFTs. So I'm sort of distracted in some way, but I also dive deeper in some parts to finalize a launch like this one. So for after this, so as I said, in this waiting time, I talked with Art and Meraki. And those are like the only platforms that I committed to, like I agreed to make projects for. So after this one, I really want to take a break in some sense, do not have like a big project coming up, because I really need to take a step back for a moment, and then I'm gonna definitely look at where we are and what I want to do. I really have a lot of unfinished projects actually, like that I also could launch somewhere, I guess. But yeah,
right, for sure. Well, okay,
that's gonna be I have to choose a few good ones and make them better.
So talk to me a little bit about how it is to be a generative artist, because for the most part, with what we cover, a lot of it is hype. A lot of it is, people using it as their digital identity, where obviously for this kind of artwork, I mean, some people have it like yourself where it is your, identity in a way, but a lot of people do like having that kind of character to represent themselves. But when it comes to expectations or what people are wanting, whether it's from your art or what they get from it, when people buy into stuff, and this could be like, any collection that you've ever done, have you found that people reach out to you and they're like, hey, we're wanting, more from it. We're wanting you to try to push yourself out there, get a bigger name, or for the most part, are they just content and happy that they have a piece from you?
Yeah. So far, fortunately, they seem to be happy to have a piece. I haven't felt pushed or that kind of pressure. And so from my perspective, I hope that that it can be like that I can, like, I do what I do basically. And yeah, it's a bit of a hard topic, because of course it's nice to have a hype or to have I guess a hype, but yeah, I'm very glad and fortunate that I'm able to share my work like this and to sell it, and that people collect it. And I made some really nice connections with collectors who like to talk about the art and ask questions and ask for prints in some cases. And
the physicals of the digital.
That's great.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so there, well, no, just like getting the physicals of the digital, I think that's one of the biggest things that we're finding, that, when you're comparing the two, like for the generative pieces similar to your art style, a lot of people like hanging them up. And I think that to a point people somewhat do with, the other kind of like identity PFPs, but I think more so on the generative side. And in the chat here, we have a question coming in from Cadel HD saying, with what programming language did he use?
Yeah, so the pieces you just showed, they are in JavaScript, and it's pure JavaScript. There's no libraries used. So that's made to work in the web browser for these NFT platforms. But before this, I used to do it in Python for the past years. I did like 4 or 5 years of making art in Python. I switched to fit the format, the web format for the generative NFTs. Yeah.
And Cadel, if you got any other questions, feel free to, or really anybody else, feel free to throw them down there in the chat. But so you are one of 2 artists so far that's been released by Meraki, and you're saying, you're now kind of focused on working with them for this launch. Why did you decide to go with them?
Yeah, so I got in contact with them quite a while ago. So in this space, I guess it's really like 4 or 5 months ago. And I really like their philosophy. So and I saw them like building the platform. So they were already building probably in October, even earlier. And so I saw them, sharing their ideas and also actually built the platform. So now it's was launched last week. And so they use Polygon, which is new for me. I haven't launched on Polygon before. But it's really good in terms of gas fees. So on Ethereum, I minted one Art Blocks project a few weeks ago. I think it was almost 0.3 Ethereum for gas fees, which is
fun.
But it was a curated drop actually, so that was not often to get one. You could get it for 0.1, I think, the curated drop. So yeah, I mean that's definitely it's an issue. I mean, it's really sort of stupid to, if you want to purchase something, you have to pay so much for gas fees. So that's of course a very a great advantage. They also use Chainlink VRF. Sorry. Actually, I don't know all the details, but they use true randomness from like external resource. So when the token is minted, for generating the art piece, they sort of request the randomness basically. So it's not pseudo-random, it's more, well, it's true random. I think they dare to say it's verifiable randomness. So that's it's also a nice concept. And even more interesting is that they're gonna offer several types of contracts. For example, they're gonna let, so if you have an art piece, a generative art piece, if you bought it, you can in some cases reroll. So you get like one chance, you can like give up your current one and you get a new one. So those kind of features. And they also might, in the future, there will be ways that artists can make art where you can merge two artworks together to get one new one, things like that, like breeding or like all kinds of like nice, well, interesting things you can do with smart contracts and with generative art. So that's quite unique. So I'm really curious to see what the next artists are going to do with it.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty exciting. And you're talking a little bit in there about the gas fees in Ethereum, and something that I talked about a fair bit a while ago, and I feel like I've kind of like gotten off kilter a little bit, but wanted to get back into it. Is the Polygon ecosystem, I think, is something that is going to come up and kind of flourish. We know that there's been some massive fundings going on with it, but I mean, how do you kind of foresee it? Do you find that many of your other your other artist kind of friends within the space or other people that are they mainly focused on Ethereum and Ethereum only? Or are they looking at potentially Elrond, Solana? I know, for yourself, there's a Polygon side of things. What's behind the scenes for the generative artists about kind of what they're thinking right now?
Yeah, so I've been mostly involved in, or connected with people in Ethereum, but also in Tezos. So on Hiket Nunk was this market of this platform, which is still around, by the way. I also that's where I minted my first NFTs, and now there's FX Hash. So many people that I know, like Tezos and Ethereum. I did find that some of the created art blocks artists, of course, they made a really huge drop on art blocks on Ethereum. So they in some cases are likely to stick with that because they found great success there, and they don't want to maybe go around to many different platforms, and they don't need to because they are very successful there. So yeah, and I think Polygon, to me, as far what I've seen so far, it's really exciting to me. But I haven't investigated enough. I don't even know how many art there is minted on Polygon, because I was focused on creating my my latest artwork. More than exploring the chain and the space, basically. So, but yeah, so as I said, I'm not connected to it. Most of the people I'm connected with, I might be the first one to go to Polygon. So I hope to.
You're setting the trend. You're the trailblazers, they like to say.
Yeah, I should get a few folks over. And actually, so last week's drop was really worked flawlessly, I believe, in terms of the platform, the technology. I think it worked all great. So I definitely, I'm excited. I think there's a nice future for Meraki and for generative art on other platforms, of course, than just Ethereum.
Yeah, I love it. So Katel's asking again in the chat here, is there any utility for the generator art, or is it just generative art that you're buying?
Yeah, that's also an interesting question. Yeah, it's really the generative art, I would say. So I didn't think of adding extra utility to it in some way. But yeah, so I can't really, promise that. But I thought about, well, I'm open to suggestions, so to say. So I thought about giving prints with the NFT, or maybe a few out of all the mints, something like that could work. But not, it's not a promise yet. No.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a few more minutes here before we wrap things up, but let's kind of talk about what you have kind of like in this collection, because from my understanding, they're still able to mint them. It's 0.1 WETH. Again, guys, you know that we love the Umbria bridge. So if you're wanting to bridge over to that to use the Polygon ecosystem, but for some of the pieces within there, when I'm looking at the site, just scrolling over to it, these are kind of the pieces that you have for it. So can you talk a little bit about what else is within this collection? Is it many ones that are kind of like within the certain style where you have circles? I would call it like, it feels like squares and some different shapes without it, or is it, a full-blown cluster of everything?
Yeah, so it's really, it's like filling the entire canvas, as you see, with circle segments. There are two ways, two things that I do. So it's either drawing the actual circle segments, and then the one you see now, there are also straight lines, and they are the connection between the two ends of an arc, basically. And you can open the live script there. So this one takes a few seconds. Here it is. And if you click on the canvas, and then wait a few seconds, then it will render the other pair of the twin, because you basically get two artworks, and they are built up from the same entropy, from the same like randomness. The positions are the same, the colors are the same. It's just one part of the code is different, and that makes it render in two styles. So if you click again, you get the original.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's really cool. And then how many of these are available?
Yeah, so it's a collection of 100. They will go live on Thursday, in 2 days from now. You have to, I'm not good with time zones, so you have to...
No worries, I don't think anybody is.
What's the exact time? And there are, of course, there are quite a lot of color palettes, actually. I think 16. So for this, small collection of 100, there will be quite a variety of different color palettes. And there are a few styles of how the objects are positioned. So this one is random. Like it's really it's chaotic. There are also a few that have a structured flow, basically. I'm gonna share some more test mints on Twitter and in the Discord, of course, for Meraki. But yeah, this is really about making an abstract piece with just circles and circle segments, mostly.
Banger. I love it. That's cool. And so that's happening on Thursday. That was my bad. I thought it was minting right now. I was getting ready to transfer it over and pick one of them up. So it's happening on Thursday then.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, it's. I should watch it on the website. It's 1 p.m., but I don't know exactly the time zone. It's so, but you can check it out there for sure.
No worries. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up for there. Thanks so much for coming on and telling us a little bit about your story. That was really cool to hear, and I'm definitely excited to pick one of these up on Thursday.
Yeah, nice. Looking forward to to see what comes out on Thursday. So thanks a lot for having me.
All right. We'll talk soon. Enjoy your day.
Yes, same to you. Talk soon.